She thought he was the father until a test proved otherwise. Then the real father's wife showed up, with a secret plan no one saw coming. What happened next? You won't believe who stayed, and who almost destroyed everything. Stay tuned because you are about to watch a beautiful story and find out what happened next. Hello, family. Welcome to Storytime Bichali. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel, like, and share this video to your friends and loved ones. Your support and engagement encourage me to post more videos. Thank you as you do so. Sit back, relax as we dive into the story. Danielle sat in silence at her kitchen table. The house was quiet, except for the soft ticking of the wall clock and the gentle sound of baby Amara breathing in her bassinet nearby. In front of her was the paper that turned her world upside down. The one that said, in bold black letters, Corey Lawson, 0% probability of paternity. Her fingers were still curled around the edge of the page like she might crumple it, but she didn't. She just stared at it, heart pounding, thoughts spinning. If Corey's not the father, then who is? Her chest tightened. She already knew the answer. There was only one other possibility. A name she had buried months ago. Tyrell Mason. Danielle hadn't seen or spoken to Tyrell in over a year. He wasn't someone she dated. It was just one night. A mistake. A weak moment. They met at Jasmine's birthday party. Tyrell was one of the guys her cousin brought along. Tall, clean fade, dressed in army green. He was stationed at Fort Bragg, just visiting for the weekend. He made her laugh that night. They had too many drinks. He walked her to her car. And one thing led to another. Danielle had told herself it meant nothing. She barely saved his number. She never followed up. And then Corey came into her life a few weeks later. So when she found out she was pregnant, Corey made the most sense. Until now. Danielle reached for her phone and opened Facebook. She hadn't used it in weeks, but her fingers moved like they already knew what to search. Tyrell Mason. There he was. New profile picture. In uniform. Holding a beer with a wide grin. Status. Married. Living in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Danielle's heart sank. He's married now? She tapped his profile, scrolled. His wife's name was Marissa Mason. Pretty girl. Long straight hair. College graduate. Plenty of selfies with cute captions like, "My soldier forever." Proud army wife. Danielle stared at the screen, unsure of what to do. She stood up, paced the kitchen, hands on her head. This wasn't supposed to happen, she whispered to herself. I just wanted peace. But then she looked at the bassinet. At Amara, her baby girl, her whole world, sleeping peacefully, completely innocent. And suddenly, the fear in Danielle's chest turned to something else, courage. She deserves to know who her father is. Whether he wants to be involved or not, he deserves to know too. Danielle walked back to the table and sat down. She opened Messenger. Her heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. She clicked message next to Tyrell's name. Her thumbs hovered over the screen. She took a deep breath, then started typing. Hi Tyrell. I know this is random and unexpected, but I really need to talk to you. It's important. She read it 3 times. Then pressed send. The message bubble slid across the screen. Delivered. She locked the phone, placed it down beside her, and leaned back in her chair. She expected a response quickly, but instead silence. 1 hour. 2. Nothing. She checked again before bed. Still delivered, no reply. Danielle held Amara close that night as she lay down, her mind restless. She kissed her daughter's forehead and whispered, "We're going to be okay, no matter what." The next morning, at 7:11 a.m., her phone buzzed. A new message. She grabbed it quickly. Her heart dropped. It wasn't from Tyrell. It was from his wife. This is Tyrell's wife. Why are you messaging my husband? Danielle's mouth went dry. She blinked at the screen, unsure what to say. This wasn't how she planned it. She didn't mean to cause drama. She didn't even know Marissa would see it. But the message was sent. The door was open. And now there was no turning back. Danielle stared at her phone, heart racing. This is Tyrell's wife. Why are you messaging my husband? Her fingers hovered above the screen. Her chest tightened. She hadn't expected her to answer. She had hoped Tyrell would see the message and reply quietly. Maybe they'd talk, figure things out, handle it like adults. But now, the situation was no longer private. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and typed, "Hi Marissa. I'm really sorry. I wasn't trying to disrespect you or cross any lines. I just needed to speak to Tyrell about something personal and very serious." The typing bubble popped up quickly. "You're talking to me, so say it." Danielle swallowed. She's not going to let this go. She thinks I'm trying to take her man. Danielle sat up straighter, glanced over at Amara sleeping in her bassinet, and felt the weight of the moment hit her again. She couldn't avoid it. She had to say it. So she did. "I recently had a baby, and I just found out that Tyrell may be the father. I didn't come to you or him to cause problems. I only reached out because I felt it was the right thing to do. I needed him to know." She hit send, then immediately covered her mouth with her hand, nerves hitting hard. Seconds later, the typing bubble came back. And then it disappeared. Then came back again. Then nothing. Danielle waited, frozen. 5 minutes. 10. Nothing. She stood up, pacing the floor of her small apartment, heart racing like she'd just run a mile. Why did I send that? What if she blocks me? What if she tells him not to come near us? What if he never responds at all? She sat back down and looked at her phone again. Still no reply. She opened Tyrell's profile and saw that he was active now. Green. He was online. Her stomach flipped. Then, finally, a new message appeared. From Marissa. "I'm showing him this. Don't message again." Danielle's heart dropped. That was it? No more questions? No attempt to understand? Just cold. She stared at the screen for a long time. There was nothing else to say. The truth was out now, and it was in his hands. The next 2 days dragged like weeks. Danielle couldn't sleep. She barely ate. Every time her phone buzzed, she grabbed it, hoping it was him. But it never was. She checked Facebook over and over again. Tyrell's profile was still up. No new posts. No status changes. Still married. Then on the 3rd day, her phone buzzed. A knock at the door. She froze. She hadn't ordered anything. Wasn't expecting company. She peeked through the peephole. Tyrell. In full military uniform. Standing on her doorstep. Looking serious, tense, and nervous all at once. Danielle's heart dropped to her stomach. She took a breath, slowly unlocked the door and opened it. Tyrell stared at her. Neither of them said anything for a second. Then he spoke. "Is it true?" Danielle nodded. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just stood still and said quietly, "I got a paternity test. Corey's not the father. You're the only other person it could be." Tyrell rubbed his hand down his face. "Damn." Danielle stepped aside. "You can come in. She's sleeping." He walked in slowly, looked around the living room, noticed the baby bassinet near the window. And then he saw her. Tiny, curled up, wearing a white onesie with pink hearts, breathing softly. "Amara." Tyrell stepped closer. Danielle stood behind him, arms folded. He didn't speak for a while. He just stared at her. Then he whispered, "She's beautiful." Danielle nodded. "Yes, she is." He turned to her. "I don't even know what to say." Danielle sighed. "You don't have to say anything yet. I didn't message you to destroy your marriage. I just thought you deserved to know." Tyrell sat down slowly. "Marissa's pissed. She showed me your message. She kicked me out. I've been sleeping at my boy's place since yesterday." Danielle looked down. "I'm sorry." He shook his head. "I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at myself." Danielle looked at him for a long moment. Then she said, "I don't want anything from you. Not money. Not pity. But if you want to be her father, you need to show up. Consistently. No disappearing. No halfway stuff. You're either in her life or you're not." Tyrell looked at the baby again, his voice softer now. "I'm not walking away. Not from her." Danielle exhaled deeply, emotion building in her chest. "Then prove it." The next few weeks were filled with tension and small steps. Tyrell began visiting more often. He brought diapers, helped hold Amara while Danielle folded laundry, and even stayed up one night when the baby wouldn't sleep, pacing back and forth with her in his arms. He didn't say much, but his actions spoke loud. And Danielle noticed. But she also knew better than to trust too quickly. One afternoon, while Tyrell was gently feeding Amara in the rocking chair, Danielle's phone buzzed.
Corey.
She stared at the screen for a moment, debating whether to answer. Then she picked up. Hey. His voice was quiet. You home? Danielle hesitated. Yeah. I need to talk to you. Can I come by? She glanced at Tyrell, still rocking Amara, unaware of the call. Okay. In an hour? I'll be there. She hung up and slowly exhaled. Tyrell noticed the change in her face. Everything okay? Danielle nodded.
Yeah.
Just something I need to handle. Tyrell gave her a short look of understanding, kissed Amara's forehead, and said, I'll head out. Let me know if you need anything. Danielle watched him leave. As soon as the door closed behind him, she felt the weight of what was coming. Exactly 1 hour later, Corey showed up. He stood at the doorway, looking nothing like the smooth talker she once knew. His hair was unbrushed. His shirt was wrinkled. And his eyes, red and tired, looked heavy with disappointment.
Danielle let him in.
He sat down on the couch like he had a boulder on his back. So that's it? He asked quietly. I'm not the father? Danielle sat across from him, careful with her words.
No.
The test was clear. Corey rubbed his face hard. And you told me I was your first. Danielle looked down. I wasn't trying to lie to you. I really thought you were the only one.
I wasn't sleeping around.
That night with Tyrell, it was months before you. Just once. And I never thought I'd get pregnant. Corey's voice cracked. So, what we had, was it even real? Danielle stood up, frustrated. Of course it was real. You think I would have given myself to you if it wasn't? I was scared, Corey. You don't know how much I liked you. But you left me the next morning like I was nothing. He stood too, eyes flaring. You said you were a virgin, Danny. I treated you like gold because I thought I was your first. I thought I was your only. I was ready to man up and raise that baby. Tears filled her eyes. You weren't the first, but you were the only one I gave my heart to. And I didn't even let you fully in. You only penetrated me twice. I wasn't sure yet. I needed to know you really loved me. You didn't even finish inside me. Corey froze. Wait. I didn't. She shook her head. You didn't. You pulled out. But maybe something still got in. I thought that's how it happened. But now we know it wasn't you. He sat down again, hands on his knees. I thought I was finally about to be a man and a father. I was ready to show up for that baby. Danielle wiped her tears. I know, and I believed that. But you also ghosted me, Corey. You left. You blocked me. I cried every night wondering where you went. Corey looked at her with guilt all over his face. I messed up. I got scared. I admit that. But finding out she's not mine? That still hurts like hell. Danielle sat beside him. I'm sorry. Truly. But don't act like you were perfect either. He nodded slowly, his voice almost a whisper. I'm grieving something that never really belonged to me. Meanwhile, Marissa scrolled through her phone in bed. She'd been silent for days, avoiding Tyrell's calls, ignoring her sister's advice to calm down. But she wasn't calm. She was angry. And worse, she was hurt. She'd waited for Tyrell all those months while he was deployed. She was loyal. She planned their future, their babies, their home. Now she had no baby, but some other woman did. She clicked through Danielle's Facebook, zooming in on pictures of Amara. She looks like him, Marissa muttered. Her heart twisted. And something dark whispered in her mind. What if she didn't exist? She blinked, startled by the thought. What if the baby just disappeared? She closed the app and sat up straight, heart racing. No, she said out loud. But the thought kept repeating in her head like a slow, poisonous loop. If Amara's gone, everything goes back to normal. Marissa couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned in the empty bed. Her wedding photo on the dresser seemed to stare at her. Her heart was heavy, and her thoughts were loud. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Amara's face. The baby had her husband's eyes.
There was no denying it now.
Tyrell was the father. And Danielle? She didn't even seem to care what was left behind. A broken home, a wounded marriage, and a wife living in silence. I gave Tyrell everything. And she took the one thing I can't compete with, his blood. Marissa opened her phone again and looked at Amara's pictures. She zoomed in slowly on the baby's small face. If she disappears, Danielle has nothing. Tyrell comes back to me. Everything goes back to normal. A tear slid down her cheek. But another voice, colder, whispered inside her mind. You didn't ask for this. You didn't destroy anything. They did. She closed the phone and stared at the ceiling, still as stone. The next morning, Danielle went about her normal routine. She made a bottle, cleaned the kitchen, checked her emails. Tyrell had sent a text. Can I come by later? Got a few hours free. Would love to see her. She replied.
Sure.
Around 4? Perfect. Danielle smiled softly. Amara was getting bigger now, 5 months old. She was starting to grab things, laugh louder, and recognize faces. Danielle had been doing this alone for so long, she forgot how good it felt to have someone, even part-time, help carry the load. And as for Corey, he hadn't texted since their talk. Danielle could feel his pain through his silence. Corey's apartment. Corey sat alone in his dark living room, phone in his hand, replaying Danielle's words. You barely penetrated me. You didn't even finish inside. It wasn't you. He threw the phone across the room. It hit the wall with a loud thud. He hadn't cried in years, not even at funerals. But tonight, he couldn't stop. I was finally ready to grow up. I was finally ready to be a man, he whispered, voice shaking. He stood and looked at himself in the mirror, red eyes, messy beard. A man lost between anger and heartbreak. He didn't hate Danielle. He didn't even hate Tyrell. He just hated that it all slipped away. Back at Danielle's place, 3:50 p.m. Danielle checked the door, made sure everything was clean, and dressed Amara in a yellow romper. She hummed to herself, trying to keep her mind off Corey. Then came the knock. She opened the door. Tyrell walked in with a smile and a small pink teddy bear. Somebody's got a new best friend, he grinned. Amara squealed and waved her hands. Danielle laughed. She's been in a good mood today. He picked her up, kissed her cheek, and walked around the room gently bouncing her. She looks more like me every time I come, he said. Danielle smiled. Yes, she really does. They sat and talked for a while about baby food, daycare, and Tyrell's work. But outside the building, someone was watching. Marissa sat in her car, parked across the street. She had followed Tyrell from Fort Bragg, unsure what she was planning to do. She just wanted to see this woman, to see her. And now, from behind the tinted windows, she could see Tyrell holding the baby, smiling, laughing, like nothing ever happened. Her stomach turned. Her hands clenched around the steering wheel. He's supposed to be mine, she said softly. She opened her purse and pulled out something small and shiny, a bottle of sleeping drops she had taken from her aunt's cabinet the last time she visited. Her plan was forming fast. It won't kill the baby. Just make her sleep. Deep sleep. Then I'll walk in, say I'm here to help. Offer to feed her. Slip it in the bottle. She won't wake up. Not for hours.
Danielle will panic.
The baby will be rushed to the hospital. CPS gets involved. They'll question her. She'll lose custody. And Tyrell will come home. The thoughts were dangerous. But Marissa wasn't thinking clearly anymore. Her heartbreak had turned into obsession. And now, she was ready to do the unthinkable. Marissa gripped the steering wheel, staring at the apartment building. She had been sitting in her car for over 30 minutes, just watching Tyrell laugh, hold the baby, and act like he belonged in that home. Her chest tightened with every minute. He was supposed to come back to me, she whispered. Her hand slid into her purse again. She pulled out the tiny glass bottle with the sleeping drops. The label was faded, but the instructions were clear. 2 drops only. Strong. Do not overdose. She knew what she was doing was wrong, but in her mind, it felt like justice. She wasn't trying to hurt the baby. Not forever. Just enough to scare Danielle. To make her look irresponsible. Unfit. Unstable. If the baby doesn't wake up fast, the hospital will get involved. Then child services. Then Tyrell will have no choice but to come back home, where he belongs. Marissa pulled down her mirror and wiped her face. Then she stepped out of the car. Inside Danielle's apartment, Tyrell was holding Amara, bouncing her gently. Danielle was in the kitchen heating up a bottle. She didn't nap today, she called out. She's probably tired now. Tyrell nodded. Yeah, she's yawning a lot. Just then a knock on the door. Danielle frowned. That's weird. I'm not expecting anyone. She peeked through the peephole and gasped. It's Marissa. Tyrell froze. What? Danielle opened the door slowly. Marissa stood there, holding a small pink gift bag, smiling too hard. Hi, Danielle, she said sweetly. I thought I'd come by. I brought something for the baby. Danielle blinked in shock. What are you doing here? Tyrell walked into view, still holding Amara. His face was tight with confusion. Marissa, this is not the time. I just want to talk, she interrupted. Can I come in? Please. Just 5 minutes. Danielle hesitated. Look, I know how this looks. But I'm trying to make peace, Marissa said, her voice calm. I promise. Danielle stepped aside slowly. Okay, 5 minutes. Marissa walked in, looking around the apartment with sharp eyes. She spotted the kitchen counter, the baby bottle still warming in a cup of water. She handed Danielle the gift bag. It's just a little onesie and socks. Thought I'd be polite. Danielle opened the bag while Marissa slowly walked toward the kitchen. Tyrell stepped between her and Amara's room. Why are you really here? Marissa looked at him, face still innocent. I told you. I just wanted to be part of the conversation. While they spoke, Marissa slipped the bottle of sleeping drops out of her purse, hiding it in her palm. She moved toward the bottle warming on the counter. But then, Amara started crying. Tyrell turned back to calm her. Danielle followed quickly to grab a burp cloth from the baby's room. Marissa moved fast. She uncapped the bottle. 2 drops fell into the milk. Then a third by mistake. She quickly closed it and slid it back into her purse. A few minutes later, Danielle returned and picked up the bottle. Tyrell was holding Amara, rocking her gently. She's probably hungry now, Danielle said, reaching for the bottle. But something caught her eye. The cap wasn't on right. She frowned. Did you touch this? She asked, looking at Marissa. Marissa blinked. Me? No. Danielle stepped closer to the bottle, sniffed it. Something smelled off, sweet, like cough syrup. Tyrell's eyes narrowed. Danielle, don't feed her that. Danielle paused, looked at Marissa, then at the bottle again. Her gut said something was wrong. Tyrell took the bottle from her and walked to the sink. He dumped the milk out. Danielle stared at Marissa, a chill going down her back. What did you put in it? She asked, her voice shaking. Marissa's smile cracked. Nothing. I swear. Tyrell stepped forward. Marissa, don't lie to me. Danielle rushed to Amara, checking her breathing, her lips, her temperature. The baby was fine, untouched. Marissa's hands started to shake. I didn't mean to hurt her, she whispered. I just wanted things to go back to normal. I thought if she slept too long, people would think Danielle was careless. Tyrell's eyes darkened. You tried to drug a baby. I was hurt. Marissa shouted. You left me for her. You started a new life and forgot the vows we made. What was I supposed to do? Just sit and watch you fall in love with your mistake. Danielle stood, her voice firm. She's not a mistake. And neither am I. Marissa started to cry, her face collapsing with guilt and shame. Tyrell grabbed his phone. I should call the police. But Danielle shook her head.
No.
She needs help, not jail. And Amara's safe. Marissa sat down, covering her face. I'm so sorry, she whispered. Tyrell walked over and knelt beside her. You need to go home. And get help. This isn't you. Marissa nodded slowly, tears still falling. She stood, said nothing more, and walked out the door.
The room was quiet for a long time.
Danielle held Amara tight, heart pounding. Tyrell stood silently, watching the door. You saved her, Danielle said softly. If you weren't here… Tyrell looked at her with eyes full of emotion. I'll always protect her. No matter what. Danielle nodded, then whispered, thank you. The next morning, Danielle sat on her couch holding Amara close. Her hands still shook from the night before. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Marissa's face, the smile, the purse, the baby bottle. She could have hurt her, Danielle whispered to herself. She looked down at Amara, sleeping peacefully against her chest. But she didn't, because Tyrell was there. Just then her phone buzzed. A message from Corey. Can we talk? Just once. No pressure. Just need closure. Danielle stared at the screen for a long moment. She hadn't seen Corey in weeks. Not since their last talk, the one where he poured out his pain and walked away without answers. She texted back, okay, come by this evening. Around 6:03 p.m. Corey knocked gently on the door. When Danielle opened it, he stood there looking cleaner, calmer, but still sad. He stepped in slowly, nodding as he saw Amara asleep in her rocker. She's getting big, he said. Danielle smiled softly.
Yeah.
She is. They sat down across from each other. So, Corey began, voice low, I wanted to say thank you. Danielle raised an eyebrow. Thank you. He nodded.
Yeah. For being honest with me.
Even when it hurt. She stayed quiet. I kept thinking about everything. How I left. How I thought I was ready to be a father, but didn't even act like one. I hurt you, and I want you to know that I'm sorry. Danielle nodded slowly. I forgave you, Corey. Even if we never talked again, I had to forgive you for my peace. He smiled sadly. That sounds like you. Then he looked her in the eyes. I was ready to say goodbye today. To finally let it go and move on. But now that I'm here, I don't want to. Danielle looked confused. What do you mean? I know she's not mine by blood, but I still feel connected to you. To her. I can't stop thinking about what could have been. And now, I want to start again. Properly. If you'll let me. Danielle's heart beat faster. You'd raise another man's daughter? Corey leaned forward. I'd raise your daughter. Tears filled her eyes. She had loved Corey before everything went wrong. Before the test. Before the silence. Before the pain. But what about Tyrell? Corey nodded slowly. I'm not trying to take his place. I just want a chance to be part of her life. And yours. Danielle looked over at Amara, then back at Corey. I never stopped loving you, she whispered. I just didn't know if we could come back from all this. He reached for her hand. Let's try. And in that quiet moment, something shifted. A broken bond began to heal. Meanwhile, Tyrell sat outside Marissa's apartment. He hadn't seen her since she left Danielle's place, crying and shaken. He knocked gently. The door opened halfway. Marissa stood there, no makeup, eyes tired, voice flat. Why are you here? Tyrell stepped closer. To talk. And to ask if you're okay. She didn't speak. I know what you did wasn't right, he continued. But I also know you weren't thinking straight. I should have never made you feel like I chose someone else over you. Marissa looked down. You did choose someone else.
He shook his head.
I chose to be a father. That's not the same as walking away from you. Silence. Then he added. I still love you. But we need help. Counseling. Healing. Something. Marissa opened the door wider. Tears filled her eyes. I'm scared I lost you. Tyrell stepped in and hugged her tight. I'm right here. That night, at Danielle's home, Corey stayed for dinner. He held Amara as she slept. Danielle watched him closely, quietly amazed at the way he looked at her, with love, not regret. You sure about this? She asked softly. Corey nodded. I'm sure. Danielle leaned her head on his shoulder, peace settling over her like a warm blanket. And for the first time in a long time, she believed that love, even broken love, could could be rebuilt. Weeks passed. The drama faded, and healing began, slowly but surely. The days became more peaceful. Danielle could finally breathe without feeling like something might go wrong. The tension that once lived in her chest was gone. Every morning, she woke up to her daughter's smile. And now, she wasn't waking up alone. Corey had stayed, not out of guilt, but choice. He came over every day, sometimes just to bring coffee, sometimes to hold Amara while Danielle took a nap, sometimes just to be near them, learning, growing, loving. He had changed. He listened more. He gave more. He didn't try to control the situation. He respected Danielle's boundaries and gave Amara his whole heart, even though she didn't carry his blood. One day, as Danielle watched him feed Amara, she asked softly, "Are you happy?" Corey looked up and smiled. "Happier than I've been in a long time." Tyrell and Marissa were in counseling now. It wasn't easy. Marissa had good days and bad days. Some days she cried. Some days she snapped. But through it all, she kept showing up. And Tyrell? He showed up too. Not just for Marissa, but for Amara. He and Corey had a conversation man-to-man. It wasn't about who loved the baby more. It was about what was best for her. And in that rare moment of maturity, two men made peace. They agreed. Amara didn't need division. She needed strength, love, unity. They both promised to be present, in their own ways. One Saturday afternoon, Danielle stood in the park under a tall oak tree, holding Amara in her arms. Corey stood beside her, gently pushing the stroller with one hand and holding a juice cup in the other. From a distance, Tyrell and Marissa walked toward them. Danielle saw them and waved. Marissa gave a small, shy smile. Tyrell lifted his hand in greeting. They all met near a bench. Amara squealed, reaching out. Tyrell took her, kissed her cheek, then handed her to Marissa, carefully, gently, like she was made of glass. And Marissa? She held her, softly. She didn't cry.
She didn't shake.
She just looked into the baby's eyes and smiled. "She's beautiful," she whispered. Danielle watched, her heart full. The woman who once tried to hurt her daughter was now trying to love her. And that was Grace. As the sun began to set, the two couples sat on the grass, laughing, talking, taking pictures. Amara crawled between them, smiling like she didn't know how much she had changed the world around her. She had brought love. She had brought truth. And now she had brought peace. Later that night, in Danielle's apartment, she and Corey stood by the window, watching the city lights. Amara was asleep in her crib. Corey turned to Danielle and asked, "So, what happens now? You and me?" Danielle smiled. "We take it slow. We raise this little girl with everything we've got. We keep building day by day." Corey leaned in and kissed her forehead. "That's all I want." She leaned into his arms and whispered, "This may not have started the way we planned, but it's ending better than I ever imagined." And in that quiet, gentle moment, with a sleeping child and a healed heart, everything came full circle. That brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, kindly subscribe to my channel, like, and share this video to your friends and loved ones. Thanks for watching.